It's 10:30 on a Sunday night. The apartment is quiet. The dog's asleep. You poured a glass of something. And after avoiding it for like 6 months, you finally opened a spreadsheet and started typing in every number. The checking account, the savings, the 401k you set up 3 years ago and haven't looked at since, the car you still owe on, the student loans, the credit card you keep meaning to pay off but somehow never do. You hit enter. A number appears. It's smaller than you thought, maybe a lot smaller, and for about 30 seconds, you feel that very specific kind of shame that only comes from seeing your entire financial life reduced to a single digit that doesn't match the story you've been telling yourself. Okay, here's what I need you to understand. That number, whatever it is, isn't a grade. It isn't your worth. It isn't a verdict. It's a GPS coordinate. It tells you exactly where you are on a map most people don't even know exists. And every location on that map has a different landscape, different rules, and a different psychological trap designed specifically to keep you exactly where you currently are. My name is Nicole, and I spend an embarrassing amount of time studying why some people get stuck at certain financial levels for years, sometimes decades, while others move through them in months. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right and your net worth still won't move, hit subscribe. Today, I'm walking you through every level of net worth, what each one actually feels like from the inside, and the specific trap at each level that nobody warns you about until it's already cost you years. Look, before we start, you need to meet Adrienne. She's 24, lives in Indianapolis, works as a marketing coordinator making $42,000 a year. She has $34,000 in student loans, $1,800 on a credit card, $600 in checking, and a 2014 Civic she still owes $7,200 on. Her net worth on this particular Sunday night, negative $42,400. I'm going to follow Adrienne for the next 24 years. Same person, same work ethic, same city. What changes at each level isn't her effort. It's what the money does, and what the trap looks like. This isn't, by the way, a story about somebody being smart and somebody being dumb. This isn't a deprivation video. It's a story about defaults, specifically the defaults that get installed at each financial level, whether you want them or not. Default at level 1. The system charges you for being broke. Default at level 4. Your peers spend faster than you can save. Default at level 8. The goalpost moves. Each level has its own. The traps aren't moral failings. They aren't even mistakes. They're the natural state at each level. Walking past them takes one thing, knowing they exist before you arrive. 8 levels, 8 traps. Let's go. Level 1's house, below 0. The quicksand floor net. Worth, negative. About 1 in 7 American households lives here. You owe more than you own. Every dollar that comes in has somewhere to go before you even get to decide what to do with it. Minimum payments eat first. Rent eats second. Groceries eat third. What's left is whatever falls through the cracks. And the cracks are getting wider. Adrienne at 24 brings home about $2,680 a month after taxes. Her fixed obligations eat $2,340 of it. Rent, $875. Car, $285. Insurance, $165. Student loans, $380. Credit card minimum, $55. Utilities and phone, $210. Groceries, $370. That leaves $340 a month. $11 a day to cover everything else. Gas, toiletries, a coffee, the birthday gift she forgot about, the copay for the doctor's visit she's been putting off. Here's the trap. At level 1, the system charges you for being negative. Overdraft fees, credit card interest at 25%, student loan interest accruing in the background like a mosquito you can't see. The less you have, the more it costs to have less. I'm calling it the quicksand floor. The floor isn't solid. It's not even a floor. It's quicksand. You're not standing still, you're sinking. And every financial product marketed to people at this level, payday loans, buy now, pay later, rent to own, overdraft protection, is designed to feel like a rope but function like a weight. The exit isn't motivation. It isn't budgeting apps. It isn't even a side hustle. It's triage. You stop the bleeding first. Credit card gets attacked first because it has the highest interest. Every spare dollar goes there until it's dead. Not paid down. Dead. Zero balance. Card frozen in a drawer. Adrienne cuts her grocery bill by $80 a month through meal prepping. She picks up 8 hours of weekend freelance writing at $25 an hour, which adds $800 a month. She throws everything at the credit card. 3 months later, it's gone. The $55 minimum payment and the $450 in annual interest vanish from her life permanently. It's not dramatic. It's not a transformation montage. It's 3 months of eating rice and chicken and saying no to things she wanted to say yes to. But she crossed zero. Y'all, that's the only number that matters at level 1, and crossing zero changes everything. Level 2, $0 to $10,000, the false summit. Adrienne is 25. She paid off the credit card. She's been stacking $400 a month into a high-yield savings account. She has $4,200 saved. Her student loans are still there but current, and her net worth just crossed positive for the first time in her adult life. This should feel like progress. It does feel like progress, and that's exactly the problem. Now I know what you're thinking, because I lived this exact moment in my late 20s. Nicole, I just got out. I worked for this. I'm not going to blow it on a vacation. Okay, yeah, you believe that. The problem is, your nervous system doesn't. I've watched this happen with friends, with my sister, with me. The constant low-grade financial dread eased just enough that the brain starts whispering, "You earned this. You've been good. Treat yourself." 6 months go by. The emergency fund quietly gets dipped into. Not for a car repair, not for a medical bill, a weekend trip, new furniture, replacing the phone that was embarrassing. I'm calling it the false summit. You climbed out of the hole. The air feels different up here. So your brain says, well, you must be done climbing. You're not done climbing. You're at maybe 12% of the way up. Adrienne's coworker, Dominique, same age, same income, also crossed zero last month, went on a weekend trip to Nashville to celebrate. $1,100. Then upgraded her phone, $850 after trade-in. Then financed new furniture because her apartment needed it. $120 a month, indefinitely. $2,000 in cash and a new recurring bill, all within 8 weeks of crossing zero. She's back to $900 in savings, plus a furniture obligation she didn't have before. The false summit grabbed her and pulled her halfway down the mountain. Dominique didn't see it coming because it didn't feel like falling. It felt like reward. Adrienne does not celebrate. She sets a target instead. $8,000 emergency fund. Not exciting, not Instagram worthy, but she wants to be the kind of person that a $900 car repair doesn't destroy. You didn't reach the summit. You earned the right to keep climbing. That's the difference between level 2 and level 3. Level 3, $10,000 to $50,000, the invisible ceiling. Adrienne is 27. She got promoted to marketing manager. Salary bumped to $56,000. She has $9,400 in savings, $11,200 in her 401k, and she's been throwing extra at her student loans. Net worth, about $18,600. She did one small thing that turned out to be enormous. She enrolled in her employer's 401k at 6%. That captured the full 3% company match. The match is free money. Free money. Roughly a quarter of eligible workers, this is wild, don't capture it. They leave between $1,000 and $3,000 a year on the table, every year, for their entire career. By retirement, the uncaptured match alone, on average, costs over $300,000. Free money, walking past it. Anyway, Adrienne grabs the match and keeps going. Here's what level 3 actually feels like. Stuck. The numbers go up, but slowly. Painfully slowly. She saves $500 a month and her net worth climbs $500 a month, and her brain says, "At this rate, I'll be a millionaire when I'm 190 years old." The math feels broken. At 18 grand invested, a 7% annual return generates, what, $1,300 a year? $108 a month. Her money is technically working, but it's working a minimum wage job while she needs it pulling overtime. I'm calling it the invisible ceiling. You feel like there's something pressing down on your progress. There isn't. The ceiling doesn't exist. The thing you're feeling is the curve before it bends. Compounding hasn't woken up yet. Here's what the people who quit don't see. The first 10 grand at 8% and $500 a month takes about 18 months. The jump from 10 to 20,000 takes only 14 months. Because compounding chipped in $800 of help. 40 to 50 takes 10 months. Each new 10 grand arrives faster than the last. Always. The ceiling is a curve, viewed from underneath. Adrienne doesn't quit. She doesn't even increase her savings rate dramatically. She just doesn't stop. She keeps putting in $500 a month and pretending the account doesn't exist. Pretending is, weirdly, the most underrated investing skill there is. Level 4. $50,000 to $100,000. The upgrade illusion. Adrienne is 30. She switched jobs for a 14 grand raise, now earning 70. 401k has $38,000. Brokerage has $14,000. Student loans down to 11. Emergency fund at 12 grand. Net worth about 63,000. She is, by any objective measure, doing better than most people her age, and she has never felt more financially insecure in her life. Now I know what you're thinking, because I've watched it happen to dozens of people in their early 30s. Nicole, how is doing well making me feel worse? Yeah, welcome to level 4. Here's why. Suddenly, everyone around you is upgrading. A friend from college just bought a house. The roommate from your first apartment is driving an Audi. There's a bachelorette weekend in Scottsdale that costs $1,800 a person, and the group chat is moving forward with or without you. Your Instagram feed is a scrolling museum of other people's purchases. Your salary went up, and so did the gap between what you have and what your peers seem to have. I'm calling it the upgrade illusion. The illusion isn't that your peers are rich. The illusion is that they're paying for any of it. Most people, when they get a raise, spend more than the raise. Researchers have actually tracked this. For every extra dollar of income in your late 20s, the average American spends about $1.04. That's not a coincidence. That's marketing being downstream of payday. The raise didn't create savings, it created permission. Here's the math that should genuinely stop you. Adrienne's $14,000 raise added about $875 a month after taxes. If she invests all of it, roughly $1.19 million over 30 years at modest returns. If she upgrades her lifestyle to absorb all of it, which is what most people do, she invests $0 additional dollars. The raise built nothing. The cost of the upgrade illusion isn't the new car. It's the future million the new car ate. I've watched what happens when people compromise versus when they don't. Adrienne compromises. She spends $200 a month upgrading her apartment because her old place was genuinely making her miserable. She adds $400 a month to investments, pockets the rest as breathing room. Not perfect, not optimal in the spreadsheet influencer sense, but the $400 survived, and surviving is the whole game at level 4. Her coworker Nathan got the exact same raise. He financed a 45 grand SUV the month after his promotion. Nathan has $8,400 in savings at 30. His SUV payment is $780 a month for the next 6 years. Nathan doesn't have the upgrade illusion. The upgrade illusion has Nathan. You didn't get a raise. You got a temptation. Level 5, $100,000 to $250,000. The acceleration. You can't feel Adrienne is 33. Retirement accounts, brokerage, savings, minus what's left of her student loans, which she finally killed last year, totals $132,000. She's contributed maybe $84,000 over the years. The other $48,000 came from returns. The money made 48 grand without her doing anything. She doesn't feel it. The account went up by 18 grand last year, and she barely registered the win because it happened $50 at a time, scattered across 365 days of tiny invisible movements. This is the cruelest feature of compounding. It's completely imperceptible at the exact moment it starts to matter. Charlie Munger, Buffett's partner, the second best investor of the 20th century, who lived to 99 and kept saying things like this, once said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch." He wasn't wrong. At $500 a month at 8%, the first 100 takes about 10 years. The second takes 5.5. The third takes under 4. You spend a decade grinding, and then the next 100 shows up in half the time. And you barely notice, because you were busy living your life. I'm calling this trap the plateau panic. You crossed 100 grand and expected to feel something. You didn't. The number sat there on a screen, and your daily life was exactly the same. Same commute, same grocery bill, same arguments about whose turn it is to clean the bathroom. Nothing changed, except a number you look at once a month. And because nothing feels different, you start questioning whether it's working. Maybe you should be doing something more aggressive. Maybe you need crypto. Maybe rental properties. Maybe index funds are too boring and too slow. Now hear me out. The average individual investor, the actual, surveyed, human, regular person investor, earned, about half the return the market gave over the last 20 years. Half. Not because the market underperformed, because they kept making moves, getting bored, getting scared, selling, buying, switching strategies. The boring strategy that got Adrienne to $132,000 is the same boring strategy that will get her to $1 million. The only threat is her own impatience. Adrienne does nothing. She changes nothing. She resists the urge to be clever. This is the most valuable financial decision she will ever make, and it doesn't feel like a decision at all. It feels like inaction. That's the point. Level 6, $250,000 to $500,000, the lifestyle lock. Adrienne is 37, senior director, making $105,000, got married at 35 to someone who makes 72. Combined net worth, about $310,000 across retirement accounts, brokerage, and equity in a condo they bought with 20% down. Life is, by any objective measure, very good. They eat out twice a week. They take one real vacation a year. They have a dog named Walter who has his own Instagram with 340 followers, which is, both endearing and slightly concerning. Here's the trap. Both incomes are now load-bearing. The mortgage was sized for 2 salaries. The car was financed assuming 2 salaries. The daycare they're starting to budget for, when they have a kid, costs $1,400 a month, also assuming 2 salaries. I'm calling it the lifestyle lock. In most American married households where both adults work, the bills require both incomes. Neither person can quit, take a sabbatical, start a business, or accept a lower-paying but more meaningful job without restructuring everything. The lock doesn't feel like a lock. It feels like a life. Nice dinners, a good neighborhood, a retirement account that finally has some weight to it. Try removing one income and watch how fast comfortable turns into scrambling. That's how you know it's a lock. Meanwhile, something remarkable is quietly happening inside Adrienne's portfolio. At $310,000 invested, the annual returns at 8% generate roughly $24,800 a year. She and her husband contribute about 30 grand combined. The portfolio's own growth is almost matching their contributions, dollar for dollar. This is the crossover point. The moment your money earns almost as much as you feed it. From here forward, compounding does the heavy lifting. Adrienne went from being the engine to being the co-pilot. The money is flying the plane now. She just has to not grab the controls and crash it. Level 7, $500,000 to $1,000. The shadow millionaire. Adrian is 42. Net worth $540,000. She checked her accounts on a random Tuesday and, this kills me every time I tell this story, realized she'd crossed $500,000 sometime last month without noticing. There was no alert, no notification, no confetti, just a number on a screen that was bigger than it used to be. At $540,000 invested at 8%, her portfolio generates $43,200 a year in returns. That's $3,600 a month. Her portfolio earns more each month than many Americans save in a year. It earns more than her car payment, her utilities, and her groceries combined. It earns this while she sleeps, while she's stuck in traffic, while she's watching a show she's already seen twice. Now I know what you're thinking. Nicole, this is the part of the video where I get jealous and close it. Hold on. Here's the trap. Half of Adrian's net worth is locked in home equity and retirement accounts she can't touch until 59.5 without penalty. She has $540,000 in net worth, but only about $160,000 she can actually access. She's wealthy on paper and middle class in her daily experience. I'm calling it the visibility problem. Net worth composition matters as much as net worth size, and almost nobody in personal finance content talks about it. I've watched what this looks like. Adrian's neighbor Chad has the same net worth as her, $540,000. Looks like they should live the same life. They don't. Of Chad's $540K, $410K is home equity in a house he overpaid for, $90K is locked in a 401K he borrowed against to renovate the kitchen, and $40K is in liquid investments. Chad looks wealthier. His house is bigger. His car is newer. His kitchen has a waterfall island that costs $28,000. Chad's accessible wealth, $40,000. Adrian's, $160,000. If both of them lose their job tomorrow, Adrian is fined for 19 months. Chad is in trouble in 3. 2 people, same number on the spreadsheet. Completely different financial realities. That's the lesson at level 7. Where the money sits matters at least as much as how much money there is. Adrian's money is diversified, liquid, and growing. Chad's money is decorative, illiquid, and depreciating. The kitchen island isn't compounding. Level 8, $1,000 and beyond. The quiet arrival. Adrian is 48. She checked her accounts on a Friday morning before work. The combined total said $1,014,200. She stared at it for about 10 seconds, closed the app, made coffee, drove to work, sat through a meeting about Q3 marketing budgets, ate a turkey sandwich at her desk, came home, walked Walter, went to bed. Nobody at work knows. Nobody at the gym knows. She didn't post anything. She didn't buy anything. The millionaire moment. The one she'd imagined since she was 24 and staring at negative $40,400 on a Sunday night spreadsheet arrived with the emotional intensity of a Tuesday. At $1 million invested at 8%, the portfolio generates $80,000 a year. That's about $6,667 a month. Her investments now earn roughly what she earned at her first job. She has, in effect, a financial employee who works 24 hours a day, takes no vacation, has never asked for a raise, and has never once asked for a snack. But here's the part nobody tells you about $1 million. The average American believes you need closer to $1.5 million to retire comfortably. At a 4% withdrawal rate, $1 million generates $40,000 a year. That covers basics, but it's not, I'll never think about money again money. It's, I think about money differently money. Car repair, a non-event. Job loss, a disruption, not a catastrophe. Vacation, doesn't require a credit card or a payment plan. But retirement at 48 on $40,000 a year? Tight, especially with decades ahead. I'm calling it the moving goalpost. When Adrian was at level 1, $1 million sounded like infinite money. At level 5, it sounded like enough. Now that she's here, it sounds like a good start. Psychologists have a name for this: hedonic adaptation. The number that was supposed to bring peace just resets the threshold for peace. Here's what Adrienne does about it. Nothing dramatic. She keeps her savings rate at 22%. She doesn't inflate her lifestyle. She doesn't try to hit 2 million faster by taking bigger swings. She keeps doing exactly what she's been doing since 25. Contribute consistently to boring index funds, refuse to touch them. At a million, compounding becomes almost absurd. Add 0 new dollars and earn historical returns. 2 million in 9 years, 3 million in 14, 4.5 by 67. The money doesn't need her help anymore. It just needs her to get out of its way. Let's pull all the way back and look at the whole map. Adrienne went from negative $42,400 at 24 to over $1 million at 48. 24 years. She never made more than $115,000 a year. She never inherited a dime. She never won the lottery, never started a tech company, never flipped a single house. She drove used cars. She lived in apartments smaller than her coworkers. She said no to trips she wanted to take and things she wanted to buy. Not forever, but strategically, at the moments when saying yes would have cost her years. Every level tried to trap her. Level 1, the quicksand floor, tried to keep her negative. Level 2, the false summit, tried to make her spend her first savings. Level 3, the invisible ceiling, tried to convince her small investments don't matter. Level 4, the upgrade illusion, tried to eat her raises. Level 5, the plateau panic, tried to make her abandon her strategy out of boredom. Level 6, the lifestyle lock, tried to make both incomes mandatory. Level 7, the visibility problem, tried to make her feel poor while being wealthy. Level 8, the moving goalpost, tried to make $1 million feel like not enough. She dodged every single one, not through willpower, through awareness. She knew the trap existed before she walked into it, and that, more than any number on any spreadsheet, was the difference. The gap between level 1 and level 8 isn't intelligence. It isn't luck. It isn't income. It's a series of decisions so small you barely noticed you were making them. The $55 credit card minimum you let ride. The raise you absorbed into lifestyle. The 401k match you didn't capture. The boredom that made you sell during a dip. The waterfall island that felt like wealth. Each one, by itself, is nothing. Together, over 20 years, they're the difference between negative $42,000 and $1 million. Here's your homework. Tonight, after this video, open a spreadsheet. Type in every number. Don't round up. Don't leave out the credit card. Don't pretend the car is worth more than it is. Get the real number. Then find your level. Read the trap. And ask yourself, am I currently falling for it? Because here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. Every level has an exit. Every single one. But every exit requires you to see the trap first. The financial industry isn't motivated to show you the trap. The dealership isn't motivated. Instagram isn't motivated. Your peer group, mostly, isn't motivated. The trap is profitable to whoever sells you the version of yourself you don't have yet. You are the only person who'll ever look at your spreadsheet on a Sunday night at 10:30 by yourself with a glass of something and tell yourself the truth. Now you know the map.